Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. So, today I am once again in the Focke-Wulf 190 D-13 German rank 4 premium plane, and today's topic is actually what I would call this plane. Still the very best grinding machine. The Focke-Wulf 190 D-13 is kind of a favorite amongst a certain part of the community, and it is a very old premium. In fact, this is the very oldest premium that I personally own, and I didn't pay for it. I actually won it by playing the game. So in today's video I want to explain why this is still the best German premium that it can get at rank 4, and why it is for me personally still the go-to plane for, in this patch, to research the G91 R3. I think that when you look at all your choices that you have, you know, as far as premiums go, you only have one rank 5 premium. That is the Seahawk Mark 100, and that is just not as that's just a story by itself. Jets, air-to-air missiles, Hispanos, its battle rating of 8.0. That's just not the what I think War Thunder is fun at. And I also want to combine efficiency with fun here. So, first B-17 farm, and now let's talk about the bad aspects here about the Focke-Wulf, just that I get here it straight out of the way. It has an extremely bad elevator for a fighter, especially the lower the speed goes, the more pathetic it goes. And that actually led me into the situation where I can't get guns on target with the rudder wobble a little bit, and also the weak elevator that the plane just didn't want to pull up, so I couldn't get guns on targets. I ended up on the tail of this B-17 that set me on, that destroyed my engine, or it's about to die, and also set the TAR 152 on fire, which now burned down. I have to RTB, and now while I return to base and I repair, let's talk here about certain other things. Let's begin with the only other true option that I would consider, and that is the Ju-288, because I personally love bombers. It's a very efficient plane, it's a very fun plane, it just fits the meta as far as bombers go, it outclasses many other bombers, and yeah, here I had a bit of a banter talk with some other guy, where his nephew apparently used his account and tried to play a plane while next to me, and he tried to team kill me. I was not really all that amused by this, and so he apologized, and yeah, I also hate my nephews. So, all forgiven and forgotten. Don't mind that, okay? It was just clarifying here some things with my fans, with some of my followers, with some people that play with me, and even if they don't know who I am, it doesn't really matter. To clarify things is always a good thing. Yes, I know it's the internet and it's made for memes and other things, but not for for human behavior. So taking this out of the window, when we have the Ju-288 in the equation, and you're not the only bomber trying to efficiently grind, you have a problem, because there is just a limited amount of bombing points, there is just a very limited amount of things that you can do, and limited amount of time. Very often the battle is over before you can return to base and get the next set of bombs, and then bomb the base down. So you have to play very efficiently in conjunction with Heinkel 177s, and even then it's not guaranteed that you win by bombing. The very important thing here is because you get a big bonus if you destroy the enemy base, the main base. So without that you don't really get all that much, in contrast what you're able to get. So the meta is just not really fitting. It's still about fighters, and amongst all the fighters, I think the Focke-Wulf D-13 is still probably the best choice. And if you look at all the other fighters, well, the Seahawk Mark 100 aside, the Tempest Mark 5 It has no bombs, in contrast to the Focke-Wulf 190 D-13. And also the Hispanos, well, sometimes they are Hisparicos. Depending on the patch, sometimes they're really unreliable, and I need a belt where I have one tracer in it. While I absolutely love the Do 335B2 and the Heinkel 219A7, I think it's too easy to outplay them, and they have problems carrying a match. Yes, they have some ground attacking capabilities, but for RRB, they are nice, but not really what I would consider to be amazing. Also, both have a significantly lower silver line income of 1.8 and 1.9 respectively, compared to the 2.5 factor that the D-13 has. The BF109Z, well, if you rely on 30mm MK108s, you have a problem. For me, they spark too often, and to get them on target, especially in that meta, it's debatable. Then we have the JU388J, which is utter trash. End of discussion. And then we have the Focke-Wulf 190C. The two before mentioned planes are reward planes, and the Focke-Wulf 190C turns fantastically. It's absolutely great, but it just doesn't get to altitude, and that is why it's an absolute no-go. Now let's talk about the Focke-Wulf 190 D-13 by itself. It climbs reasonably well. It can dive at high speeds. People say that it has a fantastic energy retention. I'm like, it's okay. And it teaches you a lot of teamwork, and that is great. Then, as I said, you can mount bombs up to 450 kilogram and a single 500 kilogram bomb, if I remember correctly, and then also some variations of this, as well as you have then three 20mm MG151-20s with 750 rounds, meaning 250 per gun. You can fire for a considerable amount of time, and this looks easy. Look, I line up the shot, I aim, and I get the kill on this F4U4, which by itself is an absolute monster. But what I did the entire game was just the usual kind of how it's done. You you farm the bombers, and then you farm the low-flying ground attackers or fighters that don't bother to climb, and then you just farm those who are not aware of you. Then you win some head-ons, and that is all that you do. I think that we have a problem. At this very point in time, it looks like this plane is good. It's great. And yes, it's not utter trash. It's not useless. But I think that the biggest portion of that it gets made to work is the allied team. I've talked about this enough, and I still stand by it. I give you now one example when this when this situation was reversed. Do you remember the introduction of the P-51H? No? Okay, let me explain to you. It's an American plane. It was said to be fantastic, and a lot of the players within the German team are players that only specialize on German planes. They specialize also on World War II warbirds, and I absolutely can understand this. It's where War Thunder is at its finest when it works, where the game can be so glorious. And here we have the situation, or we had the situation when the P-51H came out. That was a plane a lot of experienced players really wanted to get their hands on. So suddenly a lot of the experienced good players that know how to teamwork squatted up in the American teams to grind the plane, spade the plane, and just master this plane. And suddenly the Germans had a disastrous win ratio where they were steamrolled. So don't confuse the plane's result after a battle with the plane's actual performance. This is misleading, and this is where I got myself in a lot of controversial discussions. I still stand by my point, and I hope that you understand. If you really disagree, feel free to make an educated comment in the comment section down below, and please spare me with your rants and your insults, because that is not what I want to hear. I know that this is demanded a lot on the internet, to get an educated comments. I mean, let's be honest here, 95% of the community is fine. And if you talk to those people in person, if you talk to them over Discord or TeamSpeak or whatever, they're absolutely fine. But there is a part of the community that is very special, let's put it that way, and then they usually write those "Reed, you are so trash" in the comments. Jokes aside, this was now my ace. 5 kills. I just cleaned up here the enemy team. This was a performance that I think a lot of planes could have done, but only with this plane you get into this situation. So I think it's a very reliable Silverline and RP income. But it requires teamwork, it requires tactics, it requires climbing, it requires picking the best possible target. But let's just have a look at the result. Because 5 kills, that's an ace, and I got the Survivor Award as well, resulting in 124,000 Silverlines and 21,000 vehicle research points. That's almost a quarter of the overall cost of what the G91 R3 costs. So yeah, it's a very reliable source of income, and I think that this battle was okayish to demonstrate the overall situation in Axis versus Allies, in your income and how you do it. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like with it, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the waves, on the battlefields, and in the skies of War Thunder.